3D, we're support. Operations, we're talking about warfighter effects. My first supervisor sat down with me and got to know me first. We have IT, communications, and cyber. When we have those capabilities and we have airmen that are able to ebb and flow, that creates the lethality within our human weapon system of the 1 Delta Center Airmen. He opened the doors and gave me access to the resources for training. So as I'm in the positions and progressing in ranks and having the opportunity to influence and lead people and airmen, I want to pay it forward and offer those resources, that investment, that time for them to be successful.
All right, what is up, fam? I know it's been a little while, and you guys, if you have been following the channel, know that I've been away from home station for a while. I hope to share more with you guys later. But the video that you guys are about to watch was a long time in the making. This was an interview with Chief Cordero, the 1 Delta 7 career field manager that we made back in August. All right, so it's been a little while, and I'm finally getting around to editing this, but all of the topics mentioned in this video are still very relevant to the career field and to what's been changing in it. All right, there are a lot of programs, new initiatives, and things like that that the chief mentions that I put links into in the description. So if you guys have any questions, check out the links, as well as hit up those comment sections, man. As always, we want to build a community with what we're doing here. So I appreciate you guys watching as usual. This is a more calm focused video, but I hope that you guys can take something out of Chief's leadership as well. So as always, man, thanks for tuning in. I hope y'all are staying safe and stay blessed. Peace. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. If you guys are just now tuning in, we are in Montgomery, Alabama at the Air Force's largest IT cyber comm conference, the FITIC. All right. And joining me today, we have another super special guest. He is a big reason why the career field is the way it is for my 1 Delta 7 cyber airmen. We have with us today Chief Cordero. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me here, and to the audience out there, greetings from Alabama. He's absolutely right. This has been an epic event. I will be sharing photos, but I still have goosebumps of the events and the representation that we had in the FITIC.
All right. So this interview was a long time in the making. I met Colonel Perez over a year ago now, and she said I should interview you. So I'm glad we're finally able to sit down and talk and answer some questions.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So if you're ready, we'll dive right in.
Okay, let's do this.
So for my first question, just to get to know you, where are you from? Why did you join the Air Force, and how did you get to become the 1 Delta 7 career field manager?
Yeah, so originally from El Paso, Texas, and El Paso, Texas is Fort Bliss installation is there, so it was Army.
Right.
Didn't know anything about the military. I did have a cousin that served in the early 1990s. Didn't really talk to him until after the fact, but I was going to school and I wanted to go to college, but my parents were having some challenges, and I couldn't pay for college. They couldn't pay for college, so I was looking for an opportunity to leave El Paso and just see the world and understand what's in the realm possible.
Right.
At the time, during the high school time, I ended up going to vocational school to be a nursing assistant. Ended up getting certified as a nursing assistant. I was working in the telemetry unit of a hospital, prepping patients for surgery, open heart surgery.
Wow, okay.
So I was looking at the medical profession for an opportunity and be a physical therapist.
Right.
But there was no money, no path or guidance or mentorship as far as how to set me up for success for scholarships. So started looking at opportunities within the Army, and a friend that I ran into in a party at high school told me, don't go to the Army, go to the Air Force. I know what your work ethic is, the opportunities, and you will thrive in that environment. That's the right environment for you. And I was like, but Army told me they're going to take me to Hawaii. Coming from El Paso, Texas, we have the weather, but we don't have the beaches there. So I was intrigued, never been outside or gone to Hawaii. And I was like, Hawaii, I want to go to Hawaii.
Right.
He's like, don't be dumb. He's like, go Air Force. And I was like, sure. But I was listening. And I started being inquisitive, and I reached out and did some research and talked to the recruiter, and I joined. So I joined for education.
Right.
But it changed. But as I joined, I just want to leave El Paso, put me where you need me. I became a security forces.
I saw that in your bio.
Yes. So I was a security force airman. So anybody that's out there, you set your path, and as long as you're committed and disciplined and put in the time, you could open up many opportunities.
Okay. And now how did the track to the career field manager begin?
There's no track.
No track.
So if you ask me as an airman or as an NCO or senior NCO, like career field manager, like I didn't envision myself being a career field manager. I did see the command chief, and I was like, okay, I'm interested in the command chief. But those change as you go. You start focusing on taking care of the mission and most importantly, the people. When you take care of that, the people, and the mission is a success. It's rewarding. You build memories, strong relationships, partnerships, and enduring friendships, and that's what I enjoyed. Because when I was growing up, I played sports, football, basketball, baseball, and it's about team success. So as I was serving as an airman, those qualities and experience that the coaches instilled in us, and the values and the character in action, those were employed as I was going on through the journey. As I received mentorship from the great leaders that I've had throughout my career, officers, enlisted and civilians, and family members, they said, don't close any doors. You may not know what you want in 5 years, or you may, but it may change. And as I continued on, I started being invested and committed into making a commitment in our functional community as far as like I can make an impact. I can make a difference. And the reward is not for my benefit, but for the benefit of the NCOs or the airmen that are coming along.
I like that point that you touched on, that you found a purpose outside of yourself.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that has made me, I think like yourself, I did not think I was going to enjoy it the way I did, but finding something that, just a career of service was definitely something that I think will keep me here. So I thank you for that answer. In my next question, a lot of our viewers are younger airmen and NCOs, and a lot of us don't exactly know what a career field manager is and what you do. So in layman's terms, what is a career field manager, and how does that specifically look for our cyber career field?
Simple terms for a career field manager is organizing and management of a career field or career fields.
Okay.
If we expand that and unlock it, just like an NCO, if you're an NCO, there are many activities or tasks or responsibilities that you have to take care of people or within your section or shop. So you just build that up, but it is, in simple terms, organization and management of career field. For us, 30,000 strong airmen, total force that we have. So you might look at the scope and the breadth, and that's where it changes. But as we get experience, we increase in rank, responsibility, and assignment, and positions. That's how you start getting the scope of representation.
Right. Okay. And you became the career field manager in 2021?
Yes.
So since then, what are some of the biggest cyber or comm challenges that you've seen so far, and what opportunities do we have to address those as we strengthen our forces overall?
That's a great question. I'll start off with culture.
Okay.
One of the challenges with culture is we had cylinders of excellence, and there was a lack of communication and true integration happening across our functional community, and that's not just within the enlistments, because the functional community also entails the civilians, the officers, the 1 Bravo 4s and the 1 Delta 7s to ensure that we're represented and executing what the demands of the mission are. So I would start with culture as I came in as an opportunity. An opportunity to come in and say, okay, I am Vic Cordero, I am the career field manager. I've never done this. I did sleep in a Holiday Inn yesterday. I'm feeling energetic, I'm fired up, and I believe I could do this job. But what has been rewarding and also helped me out is the teammates, MATCOM functional managers, the deputies, the airmen, the senior enlisted leaders, the chiefs that are across our enterprise. And I think once I stop and I listen and get feedback and saying what they're experiencing at the tactical organizations, getting their feedback where the gaps, the deficiencies within training of a continuum of development, the barriers that we had within the institutional systems. Those are things that we started aggregating and collecting the data points and saying, okay, this is a complicated and a complex problem. How do we get after a solution?
Right.
Sometimes it's not going to be successful, but we can admire it and just talk about it. And if it was easy, it would have already been solved. But if we unite as a team of teams and become A+ at communicating, we could conquer and take care of everything. The other opportunity was training. There is a brick and mortar approach to our training, and we're looking to establish a framework that has agility and flexibility to meet the demands, because we're in a business that changes every second,
Right.
every day. And it's a contested environment right now. And those are things that we have to ensure that we invest in our people, our airmen, and train them up to execute those missions and offer the gates for them to pursue their own journey that aligns to the Air Force mission needs and the overall objective for the nation.
Okay. We're definitely going to talk about training later, but
Yep.
for a person, how does it look to change a culture? Because I can imagine that an NCO could want to change the culture of his workspace as well. So how does a person go about strengthening or changing the culture in the unit?
It takes time. Because there's been norms, there's been behaviors
Right.
that exist. So I would start off with you and I. When we go out or we wake up this morning, what is one thing that we control or we could change immediately?
Probably your attitude.
Our attitude. So it starts with our attitude. It starts with being a great teammate, being a follower. We talk about leadership, but you can't be a leader unless you're a follower. And you have to be able to know when to be a leader and when to be a follower and adjust, not just a leader. Listening, getting the feedback. But also, I talked about character in action, is instilling those behaviors. But if you're communicating and you're delivering a message, or you're setting up goals or objectives for yourself or your team, what are you doing when nobody's looking? How are you getting closer towards those goals? And when you talk to me as an airman, and security forces taught me this, is they were demanding mentors, supervisors when I was an airman. My first supervisor sat down with me and got to know me first. He gave me a Cliff Notes book, Investing for Dummies. He said, I need you to read this in 2 days. I need you to come back and tell me what you're going to do. He started looking at me as a person, and he was investing in me to take care of myself, get educated, start looking at investing and building a financial portfolio for success. From there, it's like, we need to start training.
Right.
Here are my expectations. This is the milestones. I'm going to hold you accountable. I didn't want to fail. Because not only did for myself, I didn't want to fail, but here's a supervisor, an NCO, and at the time it was Tech Sergeant James Mavity. He talked to me, but he invested the time. He set me up for success. He opened the doors and gave me access to the resources for training. So as I'm in the positions and progressing in ranks and having the opportunity to influence and lead people and airmen, I want to pay it forward and offer those resources, that investment, that time for them to be successful. I joined as a security force member, started doing electronic security systems within that installation, responsible for the intrusion detection system, the network, and they gave me an opportunity to cross-train. At the time was the career field for the 3 Charlie.
Okay.
That's where my journey started within this career field.
Okay. It sounded like a powerful first supervisor, though.
Yes.
Something to definitely model after.
And I still use that. And what do you need with money? When you invest, what is your best friend? Time. Compound interest and dividends.
Right.
So as we impact and we have these engagements, just like I'm having with you, it's an investment. The dividends is you have an audience and it has far-reaching effects. The compound interest is they're going to start looking at investing in themselves, taking care of their families, generations, possibly.
Right. Okay, that's good. So speaking of our audience, I took a bit of a poll and asked some of my supervisors, airmen that I've been stationed with, TDY with, and things like that, and said, what would you like to ask Chief Cordero? So I have some of those questions as well.
Okay.
And one of them here is, why does our AFSC keep changing? You know, what was the planning or thought process from the 3 Delta to the 1 Delta 7 and now to the new short outs, the Whiskey Quebec Papa and Mikes that we have now?
Why does it keep changing? I think change is good. And change is good because sometimes we become comfortable and it's not working, it's not good. And we're not managing and leading effectively. And it's changed. Can't speak for the decision space within the different times, but I'll talk about when Lieutenant General O'Brien, Mary O'Brien, made the decision back in April 2021 for us to move from the 3D or the 3 support career group to the operations.
Right.
Because the cyber domain connects what?
Connects the warfighter.
Connects everything, right? You're a digital native, right? You grew up with phone or digital devices?
Oh,
Close
definitely.
to it? Yes.
I was born in 2000.
So there's more technology and it's rapidly being presented in
Right.
different forms and fashions, and it connects the world. With our 3D, we're support. Operations, we're talking about warfighter effects. And if cyber domain is one of those critical domains that's been identified by our senior leaders across various levels, it gave us an opportunity to really focus and move forward to the operations career group and start defining and evolving our career field.
Okay, that's a good answer.
And the enemy has a vote.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can talk about it because you're probably going to ask
Right.
more questions leading to that.
So, going along with the training, how's the new training pipeline developing? Are there any new groundbreaking initiatives that we may not know about?
Yes, and during Alamo Ace in the fall, we're going to introduce some of those, but I want to latch on to your last question that I didn't really fully answer with the 1 Delta 7 force design.
Okay.
Why did we create that force design of the career field? So there was 3D with career fields of a 3DO to a 3D1.
Right.
So if somebody wanted to cross train from a 3DO to a 3D1, we had to wait for allocations and quotas from headquarters. So it was a process. Now with the 1 Delta 7, them being shreds, we could collapse or introduce new mission capabilities that are no longer Air Force Specialty Code specific, but they're broad based on mission capabilities that allow flexibility and agility of what commanders, senior enlisted leaders need based on their mission requirements and emerging requirements.
Okay.
We have different models for deployment are coming out aftergen. So those were important for us to introduce that so they have a framework so they can make the decisions that are in the best interest of today's and tomorrow's mission.
Okay.
Training, we're looking at it, the overall vision is a cyber campus. And when we're talking about cyber, and were you there at the briefing yesterday?
I was.
So we talked about the centricity circles. So when we're looking at the 3 centricity rings or circles, we have IT, communications, and cyber. When we have those capabilities and we have airmen that are able to ebb and flow, that creates the lethality within our human weapon system of the 1 Delta Center airmen that are involved in many and discrete mission sets that we have. When we have the centricity and the lightning bolt effect, we are in harmony, and we allow airmen to create their career pathways within those disciplines of opportunities.
Okay. I was talking to Sergeant Sullivan and Senior McCall the other day, and the way they explained it to me a bit was for our tech schoolers, they'll go through that general all areas of comm, and then it's up to them based on their mission requirements and like self-drive and motivation to choose which specialty and career path they really want to go down. Is that correct?
Yes. So it will be vision or right now. You want current or you want vision as far as the training?
Could we do both?
All right.
Okay.
So we'll do current. Current is they're going through cyber fundamentals, and we want to get everybody within the 1 Delta 7 family to go to cyber fundamentals. From there, they're going to the respective. Currently, the way we had it within the 1 Delta 7 shred outs of the 9 specialties before we transition to mission capabilities, because we have the training. The way it was yesterday is the way it is today. But what we presented as far as a course resource estimate to have that agility for a new framework and continuum development and learning curriculum, that's being presented, and we're waiting for funding.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. Maybe real quick we should break down what the shreds are to our audience.
Yes.
So we have Quebec, which is base enterprise or
Enterprise operations.
enterprise operations. Whiskey is our expeditionary communications.
Yes.
Mike is MST. You want to touch that a bit? That's a
Yeah. MDA, mission defense activities.
mission defense activities.
So one of the misconceptions is MDT is mission defense activities. It's not. So as a career field, we have a mission capability of mission defense activities. A mission set would be the mission defense teams. But there are other mission sets across the Air Force that we could have mission defense activities.
Okay.
The way we looked at it is that's an opportunity for airmen that are serving in the different shreds or mission capabilities of the expeditionary for the whiskey, the Quebec enterprise operations, and then we have the PAPA shred, the programmers,
Right.
which is data operations. So when we're looking at this, one of the things that we partner with Air Education Training Command is do a competencies. Say, okay, how similar, complementary, or does it not fit? When many of the subject matter experts that attended that event for the competencies, they realized that there was many competencies that were complementary, which created us to do the shreds
Okay.
to allow agility to move within mission sets without waiting for the governance or the guidance from big Air Force.
Right.
Now we had the agility, leaders could train airmen at the respective organizations, and we could recognize their credentials, and then we could build up your training portfolio
Okay.
from there.
That sounds good. So moving to our next question. This is specifically from Staff Sergeant of my unit. So we have the Quebec and Whiskey shreds here. Comparatively, the 1 Delta 7 Quebec shred has significantly more assignment positions than the Whiskey. Are there talks to expand the Whiskey's AOR to even the playing field?
Depend. So, career field manages the career field and presents airmen that are ready to serve in the mission sets. Okay. So, if there are emerging requirements, absolutely. But it's driven by mission.
Driven by mission.
However, there is an opportunity based on the agility of a force design. If you have a whiskey, and we talked about competencies, there might be similar competencies within Quebec. So you might be badged up or credentialed for Quebec and a whiskey.
Right.
So that's what we have afforded before. Where in our previous model, if we used the model and you had a career field for the whiskey, you would have to wait till the opportunity or the window season to retrain into Quebec. And there's so many allocations, so it's by timing and opportunity and luck. Now, if you have the aspirations, the attitude, and there's a need, you could try pivot to those other mission capability shreds.
So is that going to be a pretty? Well, the airmen will have a good amount of control in saying, "I want to go to this," or I guess they won't have too much control over what unit they get to get to. But
Yeah, so not unit, but if they get training and they get recognized. So right now we have an initiative going on for PI, professional identification of experience. So we're trying to get the baseline, but the journey, they control their journey.
Right.
They're going to create the opportunities if they have the aspirations, and if it's a requirement within the mission set, it's going to get documented and recorded in their training system or training of record. So when we're looking at this, we're affording them the opportunity, and now with Enlisted Talent Marketplace, we're not where we want to be, but it's much better because it's giving airmen control of the steering wheel, where before Air Force was driving it based on most eligible to PCS.
Right.
But now we could start doing the art and the science, talent management, identifying talent and putting it in the right mission set at the right time.
so we're not just filling positions now, but saying
Yes.
who has the experience and the drive. That makes sense.
Now you're motivated, now you're interested, and now you're looking to see, okay, how do I prepare myself for these other opportunities, not only for assignments, but within the mission capability shreds.
Copy that.
But I want feedback, and we're not there yet, but if we need to codify, if we need to improve our policy, our guidance, or processes, let us know. But we're taking an iterative approach, but that is the feedback that we received, and we're trying to create that opportunity.
Makes sense. Okay. So you touched on this yesterday in your briefing, but it's going to be about recruiting and retention. So as we know, recruiting and retention rates, not only in our career field, but in the Air Force as a whole, are lower than anticipated. What are the upper echelons of command doing to incentivize airmen to either enlist as a cyber airman or stay and re-enlist as the career field?
You talked about recruiting and retention.
Yes.
That's a huge question right there.
Right.
Recruiting, phenomenal team. So the teammates that I have within the career field management team, along with the MATCHCOM functional managers, and feedback from our airmen across the functional community. Once an idea is presented, we find out if it meets some of our gaps or solves some of our gaps, and we reach out to many of our institutional stakeholders, like A1. We'll talk to A1 and we'll identify and say, okay, recruiting, how are we doing? Or reach out to the recruiting command, squadron, and find out what our statistics are. One of the initiatives that we've done as far as recruiting is, by the way, we're doing phenomenal. We're about 99% filled up for the fiscal year for 1 Delta 7s.
That's good to hear.
One initiative that we did is we partnered with A1, and we did a prior service members could come in from other services, and if they served in the Air Force previously, they could come back in.
Okay.
We filled up all the quotas that A1 gave us or offered to us.
That's great.
So we're looking to continue that for the fiscal year that's coming up. The other thing that we discussed and was presented is like, okay, the band recruits members, and they're looking for key roles within the band, and they come in as an E6. So we start off with a feasibility study for the Stripes for certification. So if we have an American citizen that comes in and they have certifications, and we'll use information assurance or management level 3 certification. And the board reviews it and assesses and says, yes, there are level 3, they could come in as an E4, and we're looking to get to E5 and E6. So those are some of the incentives from the recruiting standpoint, but also an opportunity as they come in. They may come in as a 1 Delta 7, and they say, I didn't know that you could be a cable dog in the 1 Delta 7. I signed up based on current structure as an alpha shred networks,
Right.
but I want to do cable dog, or I want to do radio frequency. They have an opportunity because now you have somebody that's committed. that's interested and is going to get the training and it's going to meet a need within the mission set.
So that's huge because we know that the Med Group does a similar kind of thing when they enlist or recruit their officers at least.
Yes.
Okay, that's a huge possibility.
Now for retention, many of y'all saw we're doing good. I wouldn't say great, but we're getting selective reenlistment bonuses. Previously, there were certain shreds or career fields that weren't getting it within our portfolio.
Right.
Now we're starting to get it. We've created that special experience identifiers. With the special experience identifiers, the money bag, we're humbly resourced. The money bag used to be 10, 20 money bags. Now we have less. So how do we target and value based on Air Force needs those airmen that have those credentials that we value? So for example, if a programmer is a master programmer in a proficiency level, and we don't have that many master programmers, we may be able to do an SEI SRB targeted towards that.
Okay.
So now it's deliberate.
Right.
Before, we used to say 1 Delta 7 Alpha Shred, during this window or this fiscal year, you have a bonus. Are we keeping the right people? Is it the right talent?
Right.
The return on investment. So as we look at that, it's deliberate now. And we're trying to recognize and incentivize you based on your commitment, your training, and the value that you're presenting not only for yourself, but also for the organization at large.
Okay. This is interesting because this is not a traditional military structure at all.
Yeah. But there's more. We've been discussing about prioritization for instructors. One of the things that Colonel Kazor brought up yesterday is in order to be the best, you got to teach the best, or something similar to that.
Right.
So if we value training, we have to get our subject matter experts to be in the podium or instructors, and offer, instead of a podium approach, a blended learning environment, because we all learn differently.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
And to be an instructor, some of the initiatives that we're working at and at large is cyber assignment incentive pay,
Okay.
CAPE.
Okay.
So based on mission sets and prioritization, they might get an incentive for that, or duties like instructor. So we're looking at that opportunity. In Stryker Nation, we're looking at incentivize based on their training and the needs within that no-fail mission set. Those are just some of the examples that we're looking at. And then we have the SDAF. That's another based on the mission set. So you have organizations that you have opportunity, but if you don't have the training, you might not get selected. But now we want to provide a vehicle that you have a storefront, you're able to access what training is available. When I was growing up through the ranks, we used to get CDCs in a stack. They said, don't focus on anything else until you get these CDCs down.
Right.
We want to create an ecosystem that opens up the training. And you could look and see, I see myself as the top level of a master proficiency level, and I have to get through 15 gates to get there. But now you understand what the journey is, and if you're mid-flight in your training, you could pivot left or right, and you have those disciplines. So industry is already doing this, where they afford the pathways that could go straight, or you could take a left and a right turn, and you're still building your training. You're still building your mind, your capabilities. And what we're looking for is airmen to be problem solvers.
Do you look to industry for a lot of the things and how we might move forward?
Yeah, so we have engagements with academia. Our schoolhouse is phenomenal too. The team down at Keesler Air Force Base and at Shepherd Air Force Base, when we had the discussion and we started presenting the vision and the strategy, they all looked at me and said, Chief, no way. We had conversations. They started realizing, like, this is an opportunity.
Right.
This is innovation. You're asking me for input. I gotta go have conversations. So they became inquisitive and started saying, we are the best. We are. But are there other best practices that we could incorporate and apply? And they soon were in discovery mode and learning mode and started realizing like we could do more stuff. So they started building partnerships, and we started having engagements and demonstrations, and we started realizing what's in the realm of possible. And it was based on the needs of airmen that was giving us feedback. Is like, when can I cross train? Why can't I get this assignment? Why can't I do this type of training?
Right.
I have to wait 5 years to get this type of training. But what if you get it early? So we were looking for those, the flexibility within the framework. If you have the ambition and you're dedicating time off duty where it's aligned to your degree plan, your certification track, I don't want to limit anybody. I want to open up the ecosystem where they have access to those resources.
Okay. Sounds great. So I know a lot of airmen are definitely going to be excited. Our comments are going to be filled up. So we're running out of time. So for our last question, what would you tell any cyber airmen just coming out of basic, coming out of tech school, to really move forward in our Air Force and in their lives as well?
No, absolutely. So all the initiatives, the feedback that we're receiving, some of these initiatives may not take an effect during my time, and you may see it as a senior NCO.
Right.
But this is to ensure that we're having proper representation in our capabilities of need and allow airmen to be informed, educated, and if we arm them with that information up front, that once they join the 1 Delta 7 family, and it starts with culture, we owe it to each other to have the capabilities of training, a framework of continuum development, the progression model as far as advanced specialist track. I know we didn't talk about that, but that may be an opportunity for advanced specialist track within our community, and then also serve in different mission sets. But what we're trying to do is provide, I wouldn't say unlimited, but more options to pursue as our lives change, our journey changes, and you continue to serve this great nation wearing the United States Air Force badge or name tape, and then representing your family in this great uniform.
Okay. All right. Well, this was great, sir. I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is great, but everything that we do is we set it up for success, and you're going to make it better. And the airmen out there are much smarter than I am. I just need to listen and then hold us accountable to make sure that we become stronger and lethal.
Right. Well said, sir. Well, we thank you all for watching. Please sure to like, subscribe if you like this interview, if you like this content. Leave comments down below, and we will look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a good one. All right. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
That was great.